Welcome back. Finally. Feels like forever. You know how just things happen and they interrupt things and you're like, oh man, I missed that thing. Well, now we have that thing back and it's great. It's Friday, so that means Convergence. I'll be honest, I really missed you guys. I wish I was a better person about, actually talking to people outside of scheduled things, but I'm working on it. But really, I don't want to waste any time because we have so much to make up for. Here's the challenging part. Someone, can you tell me what happened the last time we played?
We all discussed while you were gone that we know where we're at. We kind of know what's going on. No idea what actually exactly happened in the last session.
I'll take a generalization from anyone that wants to. I have in fact thought about this a lot over the last couple of weeks, so I do know what happened.
I can launch into it, and then people can interject if they remember stuff I don't. But I can go, unless other people want to give it a stab.
Please begin. Maybe we'll remember.
Okay. Well, last time, Convergence campaign. I'll back up a little more to give some context to stuff. We moved on and we're investigating what we were all pretty sure was a dragon cult, and then surprise, surprise, it was a dragon cult. And we met the leader, and she was like, "Hey, my old friend Martel, how's life?" And we caught up a little bit, and then she explained that there's a crazy old man she'd like dealt with, and we were like, sure, let's go figure this out while we look for cards. And then we went into, I guess, the sub-basements, looking for the crazy old man. He did a bunch of illusion stuff and kind of was a nuisance. And then thankfully Tajira could provide true sight, so we saw him and had a quick chat, a shitty chat, where he was sketchy at best.
He was mean.
He was pretty mean, and certainly seems to have some kind of problem with Tarek. Yeah, and he was kind of rude, and we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll help you in exchange for information on where the card is. And he was like, oh, I bet you will, and didn't really believe us, but he did let us go, which was important. And so he told us there was a place where he couldn't get past, where there was a big dragon skull, and we were like, okay, cool, we'll start there. And just kind of lucky guessed it, really. Went to the 50th floor and encountered a very dangerous door that the Handmaiden and Martel jointly worked on and were able to get past, while everybody else powered in an elevator. No, sorry.
No, you're right.
Where they wisely, strategically retreated to the elevator so that if the worst should happen, we had people that could bail us out. It was a smart play. Sorry, somebody for those the viewers, somebody in chat just said it. No, it was a big brain play by Hazard and Lithian. It really was. It was a smart play. They did the right thing. No sense putting all our eggs in one boiling pot, as it were. Anyways, we got past the door, and then we got to the dragon skull. Found out that it's Kalor? Is that correct?
Close.
Name?
The first.
It starts with a K. Kalur.
Kalur. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kalur.
I thought I might have put it in the chat, but I might not have yet.
I'm pretty sure you did. It's probably in my notes, but I'm realizing now that I have neither my notes, my character sheet, or my dice.
We need those. We need those things to play D&D. Yeah.
Anyways. So we talked to him for a little bit, and unsurprisingly, he was like, hey, you know how I hate all life? Guess what? Hasn't changed. And we were like, okay, cool. And we met his handler, caretaker?
Warden is what she called herself.
Warden. His warden, who had been down there for some time, that was like, hey, it's just my shift. Someone will take over my shift in the next 1,000 years. And we're like, okay. Us short-lived races were like, all right, well, that's your choice. And ultimately, we realized there's probably nothing to this. Whatever the reason the old man can't get past the skull probably isn't, that there's some magical barrier preventing him from getting past the skull. And we were like, well, let's retreat and discuss what we're going to do next. There was some talk of just killing the old man because he was mildly rude to us.
It's not the only thing.
I was like, hang on a second.
There's some talk of, maybe abandoning everything, maybe we do other stuff. We don't know. That's a discussion that we're going to have this session. Yeah, that's what I can remember.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Savannah Chase, you covered that. You covered all the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. One of the illusions, we were chasing him through like the African savannah.
Yep.
Which, wasn't a great idea because it was just an illusion, and at any point we could just fall into a pit of lava.
So pause.
But we figured that out, and then didn't do that.
Yes, and we went single file behind the person that had true sight.
Yes. We made some smart moves, which is rare for us.
It happens when it counts the least.
We like to fly by the seat of our pants. It's fine. We all like to live wildly and dangerously.
That's why our party name is literally the Party Crashers. I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We own it.
I mean, now you do. Now that you have it.
That's what I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone else have anything to add to that? I feel like it was pretty thorough.
There was some sweet parkour over the chains to get to the skull. I feel like that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, just like glistening bicep shots, like Chris Evans in the second Captain America movie trying to grab the helicopter is glorious.
Oh, yes, fan service galore.
Yeah, it was great. Okay. And where you were last left off, you were all standing in the lift with your imp escort after having left.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forgot your imp buddy. After having spoken with Klur and his warden, and then you were just returning to the lift to decide what to do next, because you didn't really get an answer to the problem you were searching for. So that is where you are. Currently standing in a small metal box with a transparent floor to which you see the bubbling, glowing lava far down below. The imp, who's flapping his wings nearby, staring at the panel on the lift as the handmaiden is spending some time explaining it to him, so that way he can operate it as well. You kind of all arrive back on uncertain terms.
What time of day is it, or have we lost all track?
Both of those are great points to make. Let's see. You know what? Just make me a nature check. We're gonna see. Oh well.
At least two of the party members would know when getting tired. I really only two, at the very least.
I mean, a great way to start.
Is there not a possibility of... Oh, never mind. Just leaving that.
For a total of, what's my nature? Oh, not bad. For a total of 24.
Wow, that actually isn't bad. Martell, smart cookie.
She doesn't like to advertise it.
Time has been very weird, especially ever since coming to this continent. Sleep schedules they've been when is more convenient, that they've really not been on set times. Especially after a certain point where you just sort of disregarded day or night, and just traveled when best. Since entering the city, it is actually currently 1 a.m.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What time of day was it when we last slept?
Yeah, that one I actually have to think on. It's been a couple of weeks.
Oh, since we played, I was like, it's been a couple weeks since we slept.
You were all actually ghosts. The city is
Sure we're
claimed.
dead now.
No, I think it's
Why are you surprised?
Oh, we're in hell. Got it.
I think it's been about 6 hours since you guys got up this afternoon.
Wow, so much has happened in 6 hours.
Right? Okay.
Oh, there you are, in the lift.
I will not suggest a rest. Because we're all feeling pretty spry.
Think anyone's heard it all?
Is there... Well... Oh no, never mind. I answered my own question. Never mind.
Looks at everybody in the elevator and says, we just want to, I don't know, explore a random floor?
Well, we've been going on luck this entire time, so sure.
Talk sort of thing?
Out of the potential 100+ floors, which one would you like to visit?
You know, the top floor is where Morgana is.
That's actually not true.
Oh,
She was on the 100th.
now she's on the 100th floor.
Well, then what's on the top floor?
That's a good question.
Well, just go to the top
Well,
floor.
we know Morgana's on the 100th floor, and that for at least a few floors down, she's got cultists
And dragons.
doing stuff.
Yeah, you were told that's where her people were in camp.
Yeah. I can't remember how many floors down they went. 10-ish.
Oh, well, you've already made an outstanding intelligence check to start the game off with. I'll just inform you. They take up the 3 floors below 100, because these floors are relatively immense.
Yes.
So they really didn't need excessive space to house themselves.
Or 50, where Claire is.
Mm-hmm.
Is Claire at 50?
Yes.
I thought he was at like 75 or something because there's 150 floors. Am I insane?
I thought we went to floor 50, but I could be wrong.
I remember we went to the middle.
How many
I mean,
floors are in this tower?
125.
Okay, so whatever half of that is.
62, 63.
Claire is on. I mean, unless CJ wants to correct otherwise, we'll just go with 62.
Sure.
Probably where we ended up.
That's where you are now.
I will take note of. Claire. Floor 62. Morgana is on floor 100. She has the 5 floors below, right?
Three.
3. It was 3.
Yeah, so basically 97 to 100 are populated by Morgana and her people.
I will also take note of that.
And if I recall, the floors you were given on that the old man habitates were anywhere between 70 and 75, but I believe you found him on 75.
Okay.
I think it was 74 due to the fact that 75s was caved in.
Ah, you know what? You're correct. Or was it?
Well, yes, that is true. It could have been an illusion, but you know.
Maybe caved. Question mark.
Updating notes.
Worth checking. Yep, sorry, updating notes. Riveting stuff. I mean, yeah, in that case, Martel would say, might be worth checking for 75 if it was an illusion or not. If it was, then maybe the old man has dropped it. And if it wasn't, then, well, there's no harm in seeing a cave-in again.
2 more rocks on the elevator shouldn't hurt.
Sure.
I'll just add a rocks.
What rocks?
Okay.
Or Hasvard?
That's valid, which means it might have been an illusion.
No, to make point, there are no rocks in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is a good sign that it may have been an illusion. Let's head to floor 75. See if it's still caved in.
Okay. The handmaiden spins through the dials and then will lift the lever, and you'll see the panel underneath you glow brighter as the lava launches up the tube and begins to pull up the lift with it, eventually reaching the designated floor 75. And as the doors part, you see before you a caved-in exit filled with rock and dirt. And they plunk right back into the elevator like before. Hasvard, you are a sly, investigative boy. Now that this has sort of been pulled to your attention, you realize the rocks and pebbles fall into the lift the exact same way they did before. Like it's a loop.
It's an illusion. Can we... If you understand that an illusion is an illusion, does it dispel itself, or...
Given the fact that you can only roll below, 23 on your investigation check?
Mm-hmm.
Once you realize that, you can see through it. So it doesn't dispel itself. You can see through the illusory substance. So you know it's still there and it's kind of faded. Imagine if you turn down the opacity of something by 60%. You know it's there, but you can also tell it's fake.
Definitely illusion. Can my hand pass through it?
Mm-hmm. It can. You just reach in up to your elbow and free air.
Mm-hmm.
So should we just walk through
Wanted to protect something in here at least.
Ladies first?
Martel takes a moment to admire Hasvard's bravery and steps out the door.
Okay. Martel, you step through the illusion. And once you do, it reveals itself, the nature of it reveals itself to you, and you can see this transparent mock-up of what was about 10 feet of fallen rock and earth. And through this cast illusion, you can observe what looks like a long hallway with dozens of doors to the left and right. And it seems almost like it's endless. You just peer down the length of it, and it never seems to cease until eventually your vision can see no further.
It appears to be safe.
So I just have a certain feeling that, like, considering it's an illusionist mage, couldn't we be walking into a loop maze? I hate loop mazes. Loop mazes are the worst, honestly.
I do not know what a loop maze is.
Oh, it's consider a point in space turning back onto itself, and you always end up at the same spot, but it's not really the same spot, but it seems like the same spot. It's that.
Does that happen often to you?
No. Still hate it.
That's weirdly specific.
Well, have to tell me sometime about when you got caught in a loop maze.
It would be a pleasure. But for now, we have looks in past you. Some creepy hallways that we can walk down if we feel like going this way.
You think, Tajira?
Wow, thanks.
Really putting you on the spot right as you join in.
Sure.
Left or right?
Yeah, the first set of doors to the left or to the right are 10 feet down the hall. And then they repeat every 10 feet ad nauseum until they vanish out of sight.
And we flip
Quickly to fill you in, Tim. Not much happened. We did the recap, and then we decided to revisit the floor that seemed to be caved in, realizing that it may have been an illusion, and we found out that it was in fact an illusion. And now we see a big long hallway with doors.
Also, Tim, I love that you kept the flip a coin bit going from 3 weeks ago. Like, air high five, bro, because yes.
Oh, it's probably what she'd really suggest.
Yeah. And yes, we should flip a coin.
Does someone have a coin to flip?
Yeah, dig out a copper piece.
Martel, is left or right's heads?
Will be heads.
So which one was heads?
Left. I'll flip the coin. Bam. Heads. Head and left.
All right. Since we're kind of in a mildly theater of the mind, dungeony scenario, I do want to know a rough marching order. How are the gaggle of you arranged currently?
Well, Martel kind of went out first, but
The line can change while we're walking.
Zeta was very curious, so I think she'd be near the front. Maybe after Martel.
Luciana would be near the front because she can see in the dark.
Okay, and me, the handmaiden, and our lovely imp will be at the back, I guess.
Is it like single file, or can we fit couple people side to side?
It's a 10-foot wide hallway.
Okay.
So you could fit like 3 people shoulder to shoulder if you really wanted.
Yeah, it's easy to get past each other though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Sure. That looks good.
Yeah, just for rough reference.
Have a clone.
Okay. You turn into the left room. Now, before you enter and cross the threshold to it, both you and Lithian, Martel and Lithian, will notice something immediately that's unusual. No further than about 3 to 4 inches into the room can you make anything out. It seems to be almost like a roiling darkness that your eyes can't pierce, even though Lithian especially has exceptionally good vision for this. There seems to be something unusual.
Does anyone have anything that'll cast magical light?
Only the spell that lets you see through the other world.
Right, really? No cantrips or whatever from any of you spellcasters, really? Okay. Well, what happens if I stick my hand in it?
What?
So, Martel, I believe I gave you a ring of some kind that can possibly make something like dancing lights. It's a ring.
I have stuck my hand in before Hasvard said anything for the record. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to get to that. And the ring requires attunement, so I don't know if Martel's attuned to it.
Ah.
That would matter.
Oh, I gave it to her a while ago.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if it was done. That's the only point. That being said, before Martel can respond, Lithian, you just kind of jab your hand into the darkness, and it is obvious after you cross that 3 to 4 inch threshold with your forearm, your hand vanishes into the darkness as well. And the initial breaching of the threshold is kind of like putting your hand into an area where it's like heavily misted. Feels very cool to the skin. But then there's a moment where on the other side, and you can no longer see where your hand is, it feels very warm and sunny.
Okay, what happens if I kind of lead forward and stick my face in there?
And at this point, is anyone going to do anything about Lithian experimenting? Or are you just going to let her, bull in her china shop the way through?
I have my back to this. My perception is very low.
She'll say, wait a second, and she'll cast Sanctuary on her just in case.
Okay. Okay. Lithian, you lean in, and you all watch as more or less from like her shoulders up, when it hits that threshold, just sort of vanishes. You can see the rest of her perfectly fine, but everything beyond that, this shadowy void just has absorbed. Lithian, inside, you see a space that is far larger than this room would have led you to believe would be in. You are, in fact, in a large open field with these enormous dark bark and gnarled root trees that have these unusual but familiar to you purple leaves. The grass is this slate gray color, and it comes up to about knee high. And there's a breeze currently just washing through the area. And there is a overcast sky with beams of sun that are kind of poking through on occasion. You can see the winds moving the clouds by easily. And then you hear the sound of a child laughing. And then off in the distance, you see 2 young Tathakari elves, one chasing the other through the fields, dipping and bobbing between some of the trees, the one being chased, trying to hide, failing, and then continuing to scurry along.
Do they look familiar?
They do. It reminds you of a time you spent when you visited a place that your mother rarely goes back to, which is her home in Salombra, the Tafakari homeland. It is a time you spent there when you visited first when Dane came to the family.
Looking to the sides left and right of me, can I see where the edge is, basically where I'm sticking through, or is it unclear? Am I just kind of a bobbing head?
You're just kind of a bobbing head surrounded by moving mists. Kind of like you're halfway through a portal.
Okay. I'm gonna lean back out, assuming that I can.
You can.
Okay. I just saw a memory, I think. I think it was me and my brother many, many years ago. But I was watching from afar, so it wasn't exactly a memory. It's some sort of illusion or something. I don't think if any of you stuck your head in, you'd see the same thing that I did.
Zira's going to try.
Okay.
Be careful, don't go too far. Just your head.
She'll just stick her head in.
Sajira, you stick your head in, and in a funny way, the landscape is similar, but drastically different in a lot of ways. In that there is still this impossibly tall grass, beautifully green, moving like waves on an ocean as a strong wind blows through it, and you are surrounded by these green, verdant trees. And off in the distance, you see enormous tree, hundreds of feet tall, impossibly large. The only one of its kind in the whole world. You find yourself standing in a place where you can now see a family further down in the valley, sitting around a small campfire, 6 horses nearby grazing, 6 people preparing a meal. You recognize it as a long, long memory of your childhood.
She pulls out her head very excited. I too saw memory very long ago. This is fascinating.
Were you a child in yours?
Oh, was it that long ago?
The memory was, yeah. You were young.
Yes.
Did you see yourself? It was weird to see myself.
It was comforting for me.
That's where it's gonna edge up. And he's gonna look through.
Okay. Asvard, your life and your earlier memories have always been a bit of a mystery to you. But it is now peering through this veil. When you come out the other side, your eyes are set upon densely populated city streets. People dressed in all manner of attire. Rich workers, cooks, all kinds of people hustling back and forth, getting to work. And your adult version recognizes the city after you've spent enough time there recently. Skellige. And then you see across the street, rummaging through what looks like a pile of trash, very young, small goblin. But this is harder for you to really confirm if this is your memory or not, since you don't have any of your old memories to really rely on like the other.
Is there anything else about this memory other than that, or
That's all you see for the time being,
okay?
as the people continue to pass and the child continues to scrounge for food. Finding occasional bits and pieces that they sniff, scrape off something, and then stuff into their mouth hungrily.
Yeah, he's gonna stay here for a while.
You watch the ritual for a couple of more minutes before eventually the child steps out of the alley towards the street side and is immediately more or less trampled by somebody dressed in incredibly fancy looking garb, throwing them to the ground. And you watch as they turn and you just hear a sneer, and then you hear someone spit, and then they continue on walking. And by the time the person passes by, you see the goblin child having run more or less halfway down the alleyway already.
I ain't pulling my head out. I'm sorry, guys. Like, pull me out if you want to, but
After probably
Yeah,
a
it's like
minute, I
if he's been in there for a while.
Yeah, he's been in there for a few minutes.
Yeah, no, up to 3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes.
definitely put a hand on like shoulder area. I'm like, hey.
You can't hear anything on the other side. That's
I
something
feel a hand.
all of you would more or less have kind of known.
Can he feel it though?
Yes, he can feel that.
The jolt of being brought out of the illusion kind of thing. Pull my head out. Was I in there long?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It seems like an illusion.
Do any concept of what might possibly cause something like this? Like pull something from memories and be able to do this?
Do I know anything about something like that? Like the fact that it's using our own subconscious to activate illusions or something along those lines?
Are you proficient in Arcana?
No, but I'm a smart boy.
No.
You can roll a straight up intelligence check. The DC is very high.
It's going to be higher than that, but that's okay. 15.
Yeah, you have no idea. This is whatever it is, it's incredibly complex and it's like nothing you've ever seen.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, we're not going this way. Unless someone can dispel this, we're not going this way.
Agreed.
All of you see similar things. Are you all children
Yeah.
doing the
think
same
so.
stuff?
What would you see?
Al shrugs. My early memories are not pleasant ones. There are things that they aren't my memories, but there's stuff that's there. She just shakes her head.
Okay.
Perhaps we try the door opposite? She points to the right door.
Yeah.
You guys turn on heel and look across the hallway. It's filled with the same sort of inky darkness.
He found us. Delightful.
do you mean?
You don't think that this is the old man causing this?
Possibly?
Perhaps someone wants to have the true sight once more. Would prevent us from being sidetracked. Or perhaps save it for something more important.
Regardless of what it is, I do think we should probably tie ourselves together, considering this is an illusionary situation.
That
If we
makes
can't
sense.
see or trust our senses, one of us could very easily get lost.
And if something is shown to grab you out of this darkness, would you not lash out at whatever it was?
See, I'm torn. Because yes, but no, but also yes.
I'm not saying it is a bad idea, but it might not result in what we want. As long as we can see each other, perhaps stay close.
Yeah, this is not a time to separate.
Shall we continue, or do we want to test this darkness as well?
It'd be worth looking into the other side, the darkness. See if you see different things.
Stick my head in again. The other side.
Go to the other side and just dip your head in.
Yeah.
All right. Lithian's gonna figure this out, or it's gonna kill her. Lithian, this time as you pass through the cool threshold, you emerge into a scene that is one you don't often conjure the images of, which is locked behind two heavily reinforced doors. You sit in a white stone room, being embraced by your father. You were also quite young in this, and on the other side of that heavily reinforced door, you hear the sounds of a vicious, violent, cruel creature trying to break its way free.
That is what I think it is.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay. We'll lean back out. That one wasn't a good memory.
Still young.
Still young.
Hijira's gonna stick her head in.
Tajira, you find yourself inside a cozy tent, stitched together of multiple different hides and furs, and sitting around a small ankle-high table in the tent, partaking of dinner, is your family. You, a young child of about 4 or 5.
He takes it in very curiously and takes her head out again. I had an idea. I had a pleasant memory, first of all, But what happens if two people put in their heads at the same time?
Let's try. And I go to put my head in next to the Tajira.
We'll both put our heads back in.
I need both of you to make wisdom saves.
Fun.
You know what? I'm gonna quickly re-roll that.
Ooh,
Why
excuse
can't
me,
I
sorry.
roll? I'm so bad at rolling.
That's the way you roll. I got a 12 on my wisdom save.
I got a 15.
Okay. You both stick your head in. And you watch as the memory clarifies for both of you. There's a moment where everything's kind of blurry. Like it was uncertain how to focus. And then it clarifies. And you are standing on the edge of a road. And you watch as a wagon trundles on by. And it hits a large bump. And several crates fall out of the back, but it seems the driver of this wagon doesn't notice. And when you turn to look to see if they stop, you see off in the distance the immense high-walled city of Gilead. And what fell out of the back of the crate, or out of the wagon, were several small barred cages, which contained several goblin children. One of them manages to break themselves free, and then rushes to try to free the others. And that's when the wagon stops. And there are shouts. And the goblin child that is free has a moment looking between all of the other panicked children, and now the armed individuals rushing towards them to recover the goods. It makes the choice and flees off into the grass. The shouts continue. You hear the sounds of metal clanging on metals. The cages are collected and are hauled back towards the wagon. And two individuals, brandishing swords, rush off into the field trying to find the missing child, yelling threats and shouting the whole time. And you can see, almost as if this dreamscape memory you're observing wanted you to be witness to it. The child hides in a tall tuft of grass right near both of you, curled in a small little ball, shaking in fear, hoping that they're not found.
This is yours.
Before I respond to that, is there any symbols on the wagon?
Make a perception check.
19.
There are no symbols on the wagon, and the guardsmen likewise don't wear or brandish any particular imagery on themselves. But it is done so, Hasvard, given your particular field of expertise. You know this is done so that they are not easily recognized, given that what they're doing isn't exactly smiled upon everyone.
Look up at Tajira's floating head above me. I don't know. And then pull my head out.
You'll pull it out simultaneously.
It could be real, it could be fake. Regardless,
What did you see?
what could possibly be history, but we don't know. It could be inference in the form of an illusion.
Hasvard's history. Perhaps. Definitely not mine.
It seems that it chooses, and then everyone will experience the same vision, I suppose. I'm guessing we have the choice to walk one or the other direction and experience one person's memory.
Shall we move on?
I think it might be worth you casting True Sight.
Hmm.
This is something we do not understand.
Very well.
Perhaps it is an illusion. Perhaps it is something more.
Make a gamble that it might be something more.
Okay, she'll turn to Hasbard. Do you want to see through sight again?
It wasn't me first, and I still think it should be Lithian, as she is our fastest and most physically capable.
Hmm. She'll
Lithian is not paying attention to the conversation going on currently.
What is Lithian doing?
It's kind of pulled away very clearly in her own head.
Lydian. She'll try to get your attention.
She'll look at you slowly. Yes.
You appear to be deep in thought.
Did you need something?
I'm curious what you're thinking about.
We were wondering if you wanted to have True Sight.
I guess probably smart.
Very well. And she will walk up to you and touch you and cast True Sight. True Seeing, sorry, is the actual name.
Got it.
And Lithian, that odd sensation of peering in between realities washes over you, where you see in Scath all these unusual, unnatural, angry, sobbing, screeching entities exist, and eventually your eyes settle, and once you learn to focus, you can kind of tune them out. So it just kind of flickers in your periphery. But what's interesting is that once you have this true sight given to you, you can stare into the rooms, and just in each room is a plain stone room, 5 by 5. And embedded into the back wall is a white hexagonal crystal. It just seems to be glowing and pulsing very, very lightly with magic.
It looks like this magic is being conducted through crystals.
I'll look at the handmaiden and at Ebrus.
Ebrus.
Do either of you know anything about such things?
I've never been up on this floor. I haven't seen anything like this. Nothing. Edmain just takes a long moment. Without inspecting it myself, I can't be certain. Any magic that is capable of pulling memories out of individuals' heads against their will without them being able to fight back is a rare and powerful magic. I would not even be certain if I could dispel it.
If we broke the crystal, do you think that would stop it?
It is likely. Is there anything else in the room, Lithian?
Not that I can see. That's just a stone room.
Do we believe breaking these crystals will provide us with an answer of some kind?
Lithian's gonna walk forward with her axe and
Lithian,
try and hit the crystal.
I was going to ask if they're in like a holder or if they are literally just a standing crystal that can't be moved.
for Lithian's knowledge, they are embedded into the wall.
Yeah.
Never mind.
As I pass through the darkness for them, can I still hear them?
Your friends?
Yeah.
In the magic,
wall.
you hear. Which room did you go into? Left or right?
Right was the one we were facing. So right.
Yeah. All right. You can hear and see, like a dispelled illusion, the same memory that you just left, kind of playing out further. But it is suppressed with your true sight.
She's gonna smack the crystal with her axe.
All right. Please make an attack roll.
Mm. 26.
Oh yeah. Roll damage.
Okay, I guess it's too late to declare a rage, but that's fine.
Oh, I mean, you were in an emotional enough state. I think the rage is reasonable. You may
Yeah.
have.
Okay. Thanks. Sad rage, yeah.
Badge.
Sad.
Actually, it's from Valorant. It's called Sage.
Oh my gosh. Nerd. Sorry.
So 16 points of damage.
The green glass axe sinks into the stone, splitting it, cracking it. It doesn't fall out or fall apart, but there is a cleft now taken into it. And the light slowly dims, and all of you can watch as the room, the blackness leaves. And it just has Lithian standing there with her axe embedded into this crystal in the stone.
She kind of stands there for a minute before removing the axe and stepping back. Should I do the other one?
Can we hear her?
Mm-hmm. You can hear her fine.
We can see her and the axe in the crystal.
Yeah. You can. Yeah.
And the
you
other
s-
side of us is still all inky black mist.
Yeah. So the right room is now just an empty stone room with a broken crystal embedded in the wall with lithium there.
Hmm.
The left room is still filled with the inky void.
Wonderful, terrifying magic. Should we get rid of the one behind us as well before your true sight ends up going bye-bye, or...
It will last for an hour. I do not know if it is necessary to destroy all of these. They are not causing us all harm.
If there's one in every room down this hall, there could be dozens of these.
And one of them might be hiding something. We might as well inspect them and not kill all of them. I think it would be tragic.
Well, if we don't want to destroy every single one of them, then, again, we might just have to have Lithian pull us through the memories.
Let us continue forward.
Sounds like we're not destroying them with him. You will just have to guide us.
That was just a suggestion.
I can do that. And she'll just start walking.
So, with your true sight activated, the one thing you can confirm is that this hallway does seem very long. At the end of 120 feet or so, it just turns into darkness, and the repeating rooms seem consistent. The next 10 feet you walk, two open entryways to your left and right, and both rooms are filled with crystals.
Oh, more crystals. Do you think this will be the whole way down? Or is there something that we might miss if we don't go through all of them?
Are they the same crystals?
They look like it. Same cut, color, glow, and affixed to the same positions in the walls in both of them.
As far as I can tell.
And these are side hallways kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so you're walking down one long hallway,
Yeah.
and then your
there's
left and right is just an open 8-foot tall, 4-foot wide doorway. And then the doorway goes into, for what Lithian can see, a 5x5 room with the crystal affixed to the back wall.
And there's nothing else in the room.
Nothing else that Lithian has seen yet.
So this is a hallway of memories.
That's an apt way of putting it.
I kind of want to see what this memory is.
We have time to investigate each one later. We have
Okay, keep
limited
going.
crew sight.
That's valid.
The fallacy to waiting on the time for the spell is that we don't know what we're looking for already. We're expecting a needle in a haystack to fall out and present itself when we're just going to walk down a hallway. I'm not saying we continue looking, but I'm saying we don't have a goal currently.
Yes. If we make the most time of use with the true seeing, my pet, perhaps we will find something that is hidden.
Handmaiden, do you mean the fact, like, why we are venturing down this hallway in the first place?
More or less. I know why we are here, but we don't know exactly what we are seeking.
That's valid. We're hopefully seeking something to do with our old gentleman friend who has a very knack with illusions, much like these. And possibly something that is keeping him here. Maybe a memory. Who knows? And by the sounds of it also, it sounds like his memories are very fuddled by what other people were saying.
I think this is him. If he were still capable of such, would probably have a clearer view of his own memories.
Which means at the end of this hallway, there could be something that helps inform us as to either A, his true intentions, B, what holds him here, or C, none of the above, and we just spent time going through our memories, which I appreciate.
Make the question, who would create a place such as this, and why?
It is not very much like the primordials to do this. They don't dwell on their memories.
Drugs. Maybe it is the old man. Maybe he was trying to figure out what's going on. Doesn't seem to work for him if that is the case.
Or maybe this whole floor was hidden from him. Maybe he believed the lift was blocked off too.
That is entirely possible. It does bring us back to who built this and why.
We want to make the most use of the spell that Tajira has cast. We can send Lithian running on down the hallway to see if anything stands out to her, or if it's just more rooms filled with crystals.
I can do that pretty fast.
That would be my vote.
Always worried about traps and whatnot, but that's just me. Please be careful.
She should be able to see.
Would you like me to come along, or would you prefer to go alone?
I don't mind going alone. I don't think that anything's going to attack us here.
Here is an assurance, just in case. And the handmaiden will sing in a lovely tune, as usual when she casts a spell. And she will cast freedom of movement upon you. This will make sure if there is anything here that you will be very difficult to keep pinned down.
Thank you. She'll run.
Okay.
From door to door.
And takes off running. Swinging your head left to right. And again, you have the incredible advantage of very keen senses. And you just kind of start at a jog, sort of tentatively checking the first, handful pairs of rooms, and you just kind of see more of the same. Identical produced rooms, hexagonal crystals laid into the back wall, and it goes on like that for about 400 feet or so. And then there's the end of a hall, and it turns right. And when you turn down that hallway, only on the right side do you see that there are more turns that move out of sight. And when you move up to the first right turn, you see it's another hall that goes down into darkness with rooms on the left and right.
Is it more of the same rooms? They're black.
Yeah, they are.
Well, not black for me, but yeah.
Yeah, you can see the illusion. But yeah, if you quickly run 40 feet down the hall past 4 sets of rooms, they're identical. And then if you double back and continue down this right turned hallway to the second and third and fourth turns back, same thing. There are, near as you can tell based off how long this is, hundreds of these rooms. And you think they'll wrap all the way around the tower.
There doesn't seem to be an end in sight.
You know there should be an end in sight, but this unusual tower-built city is very large. But Lithian is a accomplished athlete and very fit and very fast. If Lithian wanted to take, a 20-minute run, she could probably cover it.
Yeah, she'll keep going.
Okay. Lithian, you run. And you keep sweeping by room after room after room, hallway after hallway after hallway of the same thing. And you watch as this new track you're on, the one that was at the end of the hallway that your friends are currently standing in, runs all the way on the perimeter of what feels like the city. And you see all of these hallways that lead back towards the center until they end. And you see probably close to about 80 or 90 of them by the time you hit the end. And when you hit the end, it's just a solid wall. It just stops. Checking, occasionally jutting down one of the other lengths of hallway. More of the same rooms. More of the same rooms.
There's absolutely nothing different. They all look identical.
Are you running up and down every length of hallway?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything is identical, except on the last hall, which is shorter than the others, about half the length, and it ends in a larger room. So instead of it being left and right all the way down, once it gets to the very end, left and right, 10 feet, and then it opens up into a 10-foot by 10-foot room, where Similar to the other rooms, there is a slightly larger white crystal embedded into the wall, and this one is affixed with some metallic adornments of gold and 3 other colored gemstones. A blue, a red, and a green. This is the only deviation from the entire.
This is a bigger room than the others, right?
Yep. Twice the size.
Twice the size. Gonna go and try and break the large crystal.
Okay. Go and make an attack roll.
I rolled a natural 20.
Uh-huh.
So that's a total of 30.
Nice. A really good hit.
Yeah.
Probably hits.
Yeah. Definitely hit.
17, 27, 33, 30. 35 points of damage total for that one.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Lithian, you swing back this axe and bring it down onto this embedded crystal into the wall. And it strikes, and there is a momentary resistance that meets you. And then it gives way, and the axe finds purchase and bites into the stone, cracking it. And it does not dim in its power like the other ones did, but it does have a momentary flicker from the damage it has sustained. And then you watch as one of the other gemstones surrounding it, the green one, ceases to glow and then falls out.
I'll hit it again.
All right. For the sake of brevity, we're going to skip the attack rolls. Just roll me damage. It does have an AC, but you're at such a level, it's very improbable you're going to miss. And if you miss it with a 1, I don't care. This is what you're going to do anyway, right? So.
Yeah.
Silly.
16 points damage.
Okay. Another blow. Another invisible field of resistance you have to push through. But eventually bite into the stone once more. The blue gem dims and falls off and clatters to the floor.
One more time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice. Nice to roll a 10 on the last one. 18 points of damage.
Ooh. And above the necessary threshold. And the last blow comes down. And this time, when you feel that invisible force of resistance, you can feel the physical shattering of the barrier. And the red gemstone ceases to glow, falls out of the bracing and clatters to the floor. And the white gemstone set into this socketed fixture is chipping away in places and is heavily damaged and cracked, and its light is fading more progressively. Just barely hanging on to what ember of magic it has left.
Well, then she'll keep hitting it until it stops glowing.
Alright.
Violence.
Some more damage.
Another 10, 18 points of damage.
Who said you can't beat your way through all of your problems?
Lithian Shirk tries.
And this final blow lands and shatters the gemstone into dozens of pieces, scattering across the floor and the wall. And each of the individual pieces dim and go out. And that is when all of you feel a tangible ripple of energy wash over you on the floor. I want all of you to make intelligence saving throws.
Sorry.
Okay.
19.
16.
What you do?
Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I muted myself because Sarah got home. 24.
Nice.
Oh.
Okay. Martel and Hasvard, you succeeded. You're going to take half of the damage I'm about to roll. Don't worry. It's only going to be a minor nosebleed.
20 was the threshold, wasn't it?
Yes.
Fuck. One.
So those of you that failed, you take 31 points of psychic damage, and you are incapacitated. For those of you that roll below that, you are essentially thrown back into a very fond memory at some point in your life. The point in your life you would consider yourself to be happiest. Martel and Hasvard, on the other hand, you take half of that, 15 points of psychic damage, and suffer no other drawbacks. But Tajira and Ebris are sort of standing there in a daze. But you would also notice that the adjoining rooms, the mist and the shroud has vanished. And you can see what Lithian had seen. A small stone room with the white stone affixed to the rear. But the stone is no longer glowing. Feel as if Lithian found something.
And decided to smash it. Is it safe to walk around now, do you think?
Go check another room that we haven't looked at yet. See if the magic is still functioning. I'm going to see if I can do something for Tajira.
I will check a room.
Just like the other ones nearby. Shroud is gone. The stone affixed into the wall ceases to.
Is it like a jewel that's like adorned into it? Like if I chipped it out, would it be worth something? I'm not going to. I'm just curious.
You don't know. Yeah, but for the record, they're large. They're hexagon in shape. They're about 3 inches across in diameter. You have no idea how large they are because again, it's sort of just set into the wall. Its surface is more or less flush with the entirety of the wall. So you're not sure how large they are. They could be as slim as a coin, or as they could be the exact same dimension wide as they are. You're uncertain.
Amazing. Thank you for the lore.
No problem.
How long did it take for Lithian to leave and then for the mist to all disperse?
Let's just give a nice round number. 25 minutes.
25 minutes. All right. Let's see if Martel resists the urge to look in the mist through that whole time.
That is important.
I did not.
Oh man. Incredibly, I rolled exactly a 25 on the amount of minutes Martel was going to last.
Huh.
Rolled the D100 to see. And it was a 25. Martel's like, I gotta look, and then mist disperses. And she's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, terrible headache. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I did not look.
So
Azagard comes back from one of the other rooms. Yeah, all of the mists are gone. Every one. We can't look at the memories anymore. I take it we're just going to wait for Lithian, though, as you try it. How's Tajira? Any...
dazed. Whatever that ripple was seems to have knocked her into a trance of some kind. You look, her eyes are moving rapidly behind her lids like she's dreaming, but she's still standing up.
I'll
Interesting.
kind of like tap on Tajira's cheeks. Tajira!
I'm supposing I can't feel any of this.
Nope.
Hmm.
I can try to wake them up by seeing if I can remove whatever this is from them. Unless you just want to wait.
I have no means
They
to
have
do
not
anything.
awakened by the time Lithian comes back, or if it appears that they become in distress, then I say we try and wake them. But I think it's worth just waiting it out.
There is a chance that Lithian also fell victim to this effect. We might not see her for some time, depending upon how long this takes.
Would you like me to go
Elle
look
puts
for
like
her?
one finger in the air, like her pointer finger. That's a really good point.
You all can stay here and look over Tajira. I can go see if Lithian is in trouble, or not in trouble, if she is also, unfortunately, indisposed. And if she is, I'll come back and we can get Tajira over there.
Or I could save you the trip and I can try to see if Lithian can respond to a sending spell.
That is the easier solution.
And she just sort of stops. And you watch as her eyes glow brightly with gold magical energy. And you see her lips, miming what she's sending. But Lithian, you don't get the message. You are... Well, Lithian, why don't you tell us what you think Lithian's happiest memory would be? Where is she currently? Tajira, you should also be thinking of yours. You're up next.
Thanks.
She's in Joran's workshop very, very late at night. Very intoxicated. And it's her and Joran and Safiel, and they're just having a great time, just enjoying, being young and stupid and each other's company. And this is the very beginning of Lith and Safiel's relationship. So it's got that extra, honeymoon phase glow about it.
And the part of this that's different from the other ones is that instead of being a bystander in the memory, Lithian is living. She is in the seat, partaking of drinks and laughing with her friends. This memory feels as real as the date happened. But you don't get any messages from beyond. And after the handmaiden takes a moment and doesn't receive an immediate response after, waiting about a half a minute, just slowly shakes her head. Doesn't seem as if Lithian is going to respond.
Can't hold her magic, huh?
Lithian could be in danger. It would be well advised that someone, if not all of us, go attempt to find her.
Hey. I'm Speedy. I'll go. Martel, do you want to stay if the handmaiden can't resurrect Tajira as he starts backing up into a half sprint?
Resurrect?
No, that's the wrong word, but, you know, rise her from her dreams.
Or is it?
Go ahead. I will catch up.
And I sprinty sprint. I double
Okay.
sprint.
We'll revisit Hasbar in a couple of minutes after his marathon run to the other side of the city. As he vanishes off into the distance and he turns the corner, the handmaiden just kind of, it was best he went. He was the most expendable out of the remaining members here.
Ooh.
Oh.
Martel just smiles. Well, suppose let's try and wake Tajira up.
Should we start?
Nothing else, we might learn how to wake Lithian if she's in trouble.
Should we start gently, or should I start with magic?
Well, if we can save your spells, let's save some spells. I've heard that magical sleep takes a bit of force to wake up. Martel just wind up and full slap Tajira in the face.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh no.
one plus strength mod.
No.
You're gonna take... Oh, wait, where's my strength mod? 4 damage.
Wow. So, Tajira, mark for damage.
Done.
And as Tajira's physical form is just backhanded with so much grace and poise,
Heh.
Tajira, you don't feel that. You are instead entranced in what is Tajira's happiest memory. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
All right. So she had just recently left her family on her adventures out into the world and run across this fantastic inn where at night she joined many of the patrons for drinks in celebration of her pretty much you could say coming of maturity, what she does for coming of age, cheering the patrons and swapping stories and listening to all the adventures that they have had and imagining what adventures she'll have soon in the future. Probably the most happy memory that she has.
Okay. Martel, the slap, as effective of a slap as it was, does not seem to wake Tajira.
I'll put the handmaiden. It was worth a try.
I'm glad you did it. I was likewise thinking the same tack. Would you prefer I try a lesser magic or a greater magic first?
Starting to get into more your expertise than mine. What you think will be effective.
Well, then I suppose I would rather be one and done. She reaches into her robes and produces a handful of sparkling dust that she throws into the air. And while she does, begins to hum, and the sparkling dust begins to glow with the same golden magic she is known for, and it glows brighter and brighter and brighter. And Tajira, in your memory, it's suddenly like inside of this tavern, someone ripped the roof off, and the sun is now shining in very bright. And once she finishes casting the spell, Tajira, you snap awake. to mark her 5th level spell slot for greater restoration.
Whew. She'll like blink and glance around. Oh, I thought I was in another. And she looks to the side, and the room's being dark. What happened?
I still don't know.
We're, I don't know, out of it for a little bit. We don't know what happened. Your cheek hurts. That was Hasvard. Thought maybe slapping you would wake you up.
She kind of rubs it, looks around.
Okay,
hurts.
ran off when it didn't work.
He did it again, and we insisted he stop, but he just couldn't help himself.
Okay, that's an insight. Where is my...
Do it. Probably the 2 best liars in the party.
Yeah,
Here
I
we
was
go.
like, wait a second. I'm like, okay.
Well, no, it's not like I think I'm going to win, but she's definitely not thinking this sounds like Hasbird. Okay, you're lucky. It rolled on 20 and then rolled over. So it was, insight is 0, so it's just 14.
Funny, she rolled
Unlucky,
averagely.
because mine rolled on 20 and didn't roll over.
Ouch.
Oh no.
Ouch.
Hasvard absolutely slapped you in the face and wouldn't stop until we told him to go help Lithian.
At least that's what you believe right now.
He must have been so concerned. She sounding doubtful.
Yes, I heard that somewhere. You slap people when you're concerned. Martel just rolls her eyes. But we should, all things aside, we should catch up. Lithian may be in trouble. Just kind of grabs Everest and stuffs him in a sack.
He's back where he started, I see. It's full circle.
This one's nicer. It's not over a lava pit and is filled with ribbons.
There, the infamous Martel ribbon sack.
It's a great sack.
It's had a physical appearance for once.
High honor to be involved with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everest is gonna be very confused if he wakes up later. What new fresh hell is this? Well, yeah, you begin running.
Alice!
Asvard, given you took off at a marathon sprint, you arrive running past all of these hallways, listening, looking for Lithian, checking up and down, weaving in and out, trying to find hide nor hair of her. It takes you the better part of about a half hour when you finally stumble into the last hall. Just lungs on fire, sweat just pouring down your face and into your clothes. And you see Lithian standing there in a stupor, her axe gripped in her hand, and just this large amount of shattered white stone cast over to the floor.
Around? Anything around her?
The shattered stone?
Cool. Nothing dangerous?
Not that you can see.
Oh. Well, at least you're safe. At least you're safe. Okay, okay. Water. Water. That's a good way to wake people up, right? Right. Fills out his water flask. Fills up a little goblet that's like... Actually, open up Lithian's handy bag of holding. Grab out like a full-on goblet. Fill up the water. Splash her in the face.
You do. Nothing happens.
Put it all back, zip it up, wipe her face off with a rag. Huh.
How are you doing that, then?
The step up onto a knee, hand on the shoulder, pull
Okay.
yourself up.
Okay, you climb her like she's a rock wall. Gotcha. Okay. Continue.
Well, like the splashing of the water, I jump and then throw it.
Yeah,
But-
no, I just wanted to know for visualization
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah.
Because you're small and she's very tall.
Mm-hmm,
I just want
No,
to
makes
clarify.
sense.
Yeah. All right,
Have
continue.
you ever seen Shoulder Angel on Studio C? Never mind. You have
Just
this is what I'm
imagining.
picturing.
Yeah, just Hasbard sitting on Lithian's shoulder right now with like the thinker pose.
I'm more imagining a Boo when he's like shaking Aladdin by the vest.
Yeah. All right, Hasbard. What's you got some time? What's your you got any bright ideas to pass the time?
Probably just hang out. Write down like the things that I witnessed inside of the different dreams.
Fair.
Yeah, probably that, because I can just sit on Lithian's shoulder after grabbing my notebook and stuff out of the bag of holding.
Yeah, that's fair.
Actually, I have my notebook on me, but that's okay.
Pull out a blanket, wrap it around you and Lithian's shoulders.
Yep. Nice little nighttime.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then eventually, you will hear the footfalls and see emerging from around the corner, Handmaiden, Martel, and Tajira.
Lithian's safe. She's good. Thumbs up, like hopping down off of her shoulder.
Good.
I see you woke up. Did you bring Eberus with you?
I'll just points to this bag where his head's kind of flopping around out of.
Good. Oh, good morning, Tajira. Do you think you can do the same thing to Lithian? Because I don't know if we can carry her in a bag like that.
You mean slap her?
Wait, did someone slap someone?
Obviously.
Yes. Someone slapped someone.
Why would someone slap someone? Like, I understand that it would...
Hard. Why would they?
Did you try water first?
Do you mean drown them?
No. No, splash that. Can you sleep through getting water?
I think that's a form of torture in some countries.
Obviously, I'm not a magician, so I don't really know how you're supposed to wake people up from magical sleep. Normally magic, I suppose?
Powerful healing magic tends to be the answer so far. The Handmaiden will eventually get over the Lithian and be like, why is she so wet?
I thought water might work.
I see both of your methods have failed so far.
I only
Sure.
tried one method.
She'll reach into her robe and produce some more diamond dust. And just like before, filling the room with glittering gold and glowing dust, Lithian, your dream will be interrupted as it is overwhelmed by what feels like a bright daytime sun overwhelming everything. And eventually, you snap back. You are standing in the room where you destroyed the gemstone, surrounded by the party. Minus Eber.
Oh, she would definitely come back to being like, no. Oh.
All
Hello.
right.
Oh,
Destruction of the gemstone that you found in here seemed to cause some sort of ripple effect. Knocked out a few of us.
is everyone okay now?
Now they are, yes, after some restorative magics on my part. Both you and Tajira should be fine.
Thank you again.
Oh, there's a crystal on the ground. I'm picking it up. What's it look like?
Which one?
There.
So there are white crystal fragments, and then there are 3 gemstones, a red, a blue, and a green.
We're taking the red, blue, and the green one.
Okay. They are about inch in diameter, cut in a hexagon shape, very well polished. You can actually hold them up to your eye and see through them.
Red, green, and a blue one?
Yep.
Nice. From the city of... Sorry, I'm just marking them down in ways that I'll remember.
Mhm. Whenever you destroyed in here, deactivated all the other crystals.
I know what I was hoping it would do.
Well, then I suppose it's best we go back to the lift and move on to another floor then.
Or we go talk to the old man and see if that solved anything.
Still requires going back to the lift.
Yeah, you're right. Right. You're right. It shouldn't have been an or, it should have been an and. Alright, whatever.
I'm still very curious about this place, but I suppose it is not our goal. We should move on.
Just venture back.
I mean,
Merrily hand in hand.
Martel will spend some time here at the end of the hallway, kind of inspecting and seeing if there's anything of interest. But because I don't know, you don't know where cards are.
Fair
And
point.
giant crystals.
Let's investigate.
Sure, I'll take 2 investigation checks.
Can I do one with you, Martel?
Yes, your investigation is amazing.
Wonderful, because I rolled a 19, which means it's gonna be a 32.
Nice.
Well, then it probably doesn't matter what I rolled. But I did roll a 17.
Total?
Total, yes.
Well, the obvious things in this room. The destroyed white gemstone. There are dozens of fragments all over the floor that sort of sprayed across the room when Lithium destroyed it. The 3 gemstones you would have observed that Hasvard has since picked up. On the wall where the stone was affixed, there is a what looks like a gold fixture, some kind of metal fixture set into the wall where this white gemstone was previously. And you can tell the socketed area where the remainder of the white gemstones remains rests. Further into the wall, about 2 or 3 inches. Other than that, there is nothing else in the room. There are no fake walls, no illusions, nothing hiding. What say you?
Amen.
Yeah, no, Martel's happy to head back then.
Okay, then we're heading back. Given I don't think any of you are going to be taking it at your running pace, it's going to take a little longer than the time it took to get here originally.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Just so you guys, just so everyone's perfectly clear in that particular regard. Again, you're basically walking the entire distance of the city's circumference on the outside. Just kind of
You
hitting
gave
it.
us an awful fright when you didn't respond to your message.
Gave him an awful fright.
Awful fright.
Sorry. I appreciate you taking off after me.
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming you. It's not your fault.
Well, actually,
Well,
in this
like-
particular instance, it is.
It is and it isn't. You didn't know the outcome of the action you were taking is more the response that I'm going to give to you, Handmaiden. But yes, I understand what you also mean, that her actions caused the events. Semantics. But I'm happy you're okay. So that's what matters.
Yeah. Me too.
Unlike this little guy grabs Eberus's face and like turns it towards you. Anyways, what, do you not like Eberus?
No, I just didn't realize he was in a bag.
Ah, yeah, that's where he's been.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't come to in the bag.
Valid.
Left his head out for, obvious reasons. Mostly so he could breathe.
Oh no, he shouldn't be in a bag, period. He'll be very upset.
Are you gonna carry him?
Like, sure, yeah, I completely forgot of where we found him and what he was in, and like, I appreciate that his face is out now, but like, at the same time, oh gosh. I just feel bad.
No more slapping, as Martel places Eberus on the shoulders of Hasvard.
Wait, again, why do you keep talking about slapping?
You know.
I don't.
Know what you did.
I'm so confused. Can someone fill me in on the whole story?
Speaking of whole stories, what happened to Tajira and Lithian when you both were hit by that wave? What was it like while you were in the trance state that I had to awake you from?
It's very pleasant. I was in a very good memory.
Best day of my life.
That is good.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's good.
Martel doesn't know exactly the best day of Lithian's life. She has to guess who it involves. She just kind of gives her a sympathetic look, but doesn't say anything.
You will eventually make your way back to the lift after a great deal of walking. And as you're walking down the hallway, heading back towards those double metallic doors, you will watch as you get nearer, about within 30 feet, as they part. And standing inside the lift is the old man with the gold eyes. And that's where we're going to take our first break.
So we're either going to go into combat, or he's going to thank us profusely. Yay!
Yeah, those are the two options.
Nothing in between.
Nope.
Where's the gray ground, huh? Oh, it's in the shadows.
I was just about to say, or he'll do something else. All bases covered.
Got him.
Got him. We predicted your every action.
We're going to take a 10-minute break. So come back at 30 past. And, if you're back before then, we'll begin sooner. But yeah, we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Okay.
What the heck is with the handmaiden and Martel right now, though?
Girls just
What
want to
do you
have
mean?
fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you shaming the handmaiden for the first time she's ever had fun?
Oh, you 13-year-olds. Jeez.
This is the only time the handmaiden has ever joked with us. So
Yeah, you gotta take it.
Just at Hasvard's expense.
A lot of things are at Hasvard's expense, unfortunately.
Well,
Anyway,
we
I'm gonna go
couldn't
with
blame anyone else. He was the only other one awake.
Yep.
Oh. Man, CG just double traumatized Lithian.
Yeah,
Double trauma?
that's been quite a day for you.
See, one of the worst memories of her life. Then gets stuck for a long time, and the happiest memory, only to be ripped away from it. Yeah.
Yep.
Back to reality, where that's not a possibility for her anymore.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She's
Said
ready to
Martell.
attack that old man.
Martell kind of understands a little bit of what's going on for you.
You've got like an eighth of the the story.
Yeah, no, she doesn't know your worst memory, but like I said, she at least has a guess of like why you're sad after seeing your happiest memory.
Yeah. Oh. Man.
Mm.
Too much trauma in real life. I don't need it in game.
Yeah. That's why I made a pretty happy character. Who's been through some stuff, but you know, whatever.
I mean, we're level, what, 14, 15? I don't remember. I'm not looking at my character sheet. Of course we have some
15, I believe.
baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we played through a large chunk of Martell's trauma too.
Mm.
Whole Barovia thing took a while. And it was rough.
I have ice cream. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Ooh.
Also in the chat, I'm noticing Jeff. Jeff, who played with us? Jeff, is that you? Yay! How you doing, man? Hello. Yeah, it's pretty new, but we're streaming here now. Glad you could stop by. Yeah, I fell behind on his. Oh, cool. Yeah, I fell behind on his other games, so I don't know exactly what's going on. Which I feel bad because you know I like to watch, but. I don't know if the others are paying attention to Twitch chat. Jeff wants to know how everybody's doing. Those of you who know Jeff.
Pretty good.
I don't know, Jeff, but I'm good, thanks.
I have returned.
Who've returned.
You're early.
I am. Don't always need all of my time. Is anyone not here?
I don't know if Kyle is.
I'm not here.
Eating a cheese muffin, but I'm here.
Mm. That makes me want cornbread.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Had cornbread.
Gotta be like a.
It's not really.
You're
Go
about to insult cornbread.
Oh,
It's
oh,
not the place.
except.
No, I was gonna say it's not really a Canadian thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it really isn't. And also,
Mm.
it's fair to insult cornbread because people can absolutely make it poorly.
True.
So I'm gonna step in there and say you can absolutely have a hate on for cornbread because if you've never had good cornbread, all the other options are just the worst because they're just dry and like it's like eating like sand, and that's not fun. That's not good corn. Good cornbread is delicious, especially if it's filled with cheddar cheese and jalapeno. Oh, a little bit of honey.
My first real cornbread was in West Virginia.
Yep, that'd be a good place to get real cornbread.
I found good cornbread in Lake Chelan, Washington, and it surprised me very much, but I was very happy.
I've never had such a thing as good cornbread.
I'm sorry to say that. I can make some for you. I made some pretty good cornbread before. Anyway, welcome back.
Use honey?
I did. But everyone's returned. So we may begin. As I said, standing before you, as the doors part on the lift, you see the old man with the gold eyes standing before you. His hood is dropped. And, as expected, he is a mangled mess of gnarled, straw white hair. But his eyes seem brighter than before, focused. And he's staring at all of you down the hall.
Lithian just raises her axe a little bit.
Is it like a distant stare or is it like challenging stare?
It's focused, determined. There is a presence to this before, whereas very obviously before he was very manic. This is a fix. Like he has purpose. So which of you do I have to thank for returning my memories to me? And he'll walk out of the lift. The stride and stature of this individual kind of fixing itself with every step. No longer hunched, no longer short, no longer gangly. Like they're metamorphizing right in front of you.
Lithian drops her axe down. Really? That's it? That's all I needed to do was hit something with my axe? That's all?
Alright, listen. When your mind has been manipulated by very powerful magics for an amount of time you possibly can't grasp, and when you believe that you can't enter a certain area because you've been programmed to believe it is impossible, yeah, unfortunately, that's all it really took. Gee, I'm sorry that I couldn't tell you that in my stupor state. Pleasure to meet you, by the way. Thanks for freeing me from my... 30 millennia long prison?
Who are you?
Right, hang on, this might help. And he raises a hand and he sort of like snaps his fingers and waves it along the length of himself. And you watch from top down as the hair vanishes, closes in on his head, takes on a bright, beautiful blonde. A strong, powerful jawline, glowing golden eyes, bright, beaming smile, and an attire that is shares a little bit of personality with the robes. It is this sea green color trimmed in gold, a fine sort of buttoned-up shirt with a vest that sort of brims and has a ridge over the top and shoulders, going down into just slacks that match a similar sort of decoration, where the gold sort of crosses over his chest in the vest, and then goes down past his leg, past his waist into a bit of a robe, style-esque thing, topped off with a set of immaculately made black leather and gold adorned boots. Now, I'm sure my visage is probably looking a little bit different nowadays, but you may call me, and he bows, Tarek, one of the twins, title bearer, one of the gods of luck.
Literally, like, jaw drop. Like,
Same.
comically.
Yes, I realize it's the big deal, God, I get it. But I think I need to ask all of you a lot of questions.
We have more for you.
Low turn to look at Martell and see her reaction.
Yep, Tizirda's looking straight at Martell too.
Make an insight check.
Oh, yes, again.
Natural 20 for a 22.
Yeah, I got a 4.
I got a 17.
Man, my rolls suck today.
Lithian, you're the only one who beat me. Tied technically, but I give value to the nat 20. Martell does not seem shocked. If anything, Martell seems slightly perturbed.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Tarek.
I feel like as if I'm sensing something off in the room. So spit it out already.
Well, you see, we've met Tarek, and he's not you.
I see.
So something's going on.
Well, you know what? No big deal. I'll just contact my sister and I'll get this straightened out right away. And he plants his hands on his hips. And you just see him sort of like looking up and like thinking. Like you can't hear his thoughts, but like his like gesticulation is so loud you can like tell he's thinking very loudly. And then after a couple of moments, like just nothing happens. Ah. All right. I'm gonna take a step back real fast. I'm sure there's someone in Mystery that I probably owe a favor to, a hug, something. But I feel like some of you do have some answers for me, and I remember this. Even when I was a loony, several of you were carrying stolen luck, and I feel like that seems to be an unusual thing to be carrying when, well, God of luck.
Tarek gave it to us, so.
Right, you keep saying that, but I am Tarek.
Uh-huh.
So there's another Tarek.
Apparently.
Who would have the nerve to parody my face?
As far as we know, you.
Yeah, that isn't how this is working. Well, I have a bunch of thinking to do. Is there any place more comfortable in this last city we can go to? The floors I was living on for the last couple of centuries are just all a mess.
No, not really.
Right. Well, which one of you was responsible for restoring me to my previous greatness?
I think
I'll just
we ought
point
to
at
play the
Lithian.
hunt.
Yeah, Lithian will just raise her hand.
Right. You, in the future, if you need a favor from the God of Luck, just call for me. It might take a little while for me to find my place again, but I owe you one. Take it as you will. I'm going to go now. I have a lot of things to start learning about and fixing.
Got
And
a
probably
deal, I
someone to
believe?
kill.
I believe there was a deal that was struck before this all went down.
That's
You
true.
said you knew where a card was, and if we helped you, you would tell us where it was.
Oh, you know what? A deal's a deal. So, and he stops and he puts his hand in between the folds of his vest and he pulls out a small deck of cards. Which one were you looking for?
Apostate.
Okay. Goes through a couple more, plucks out a card, fans the rest of them back, and disappears through his sleeve. And then he just sort of flicks the card in your direction and just sort of sails end over end. All of you are more than dexterous enough, except Tajira probably, to catch this.
No.
Actually, I think even
Martel
Tajira.
will catch it if
I might
nobody
Yeah,
else.
no,
is,
yeah,
like,
you are. Yeah, no, all of you are
jumping.
dexterous enough.
Martel will catch it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Well, not to delay my inevitable return. Thank you again. Greatly appreciated. If I see you in the future, hopefully it'll be in a better place and on better terms than, well, this. I'm going to go find my sister and I'm going to go murder the imposter. So, I'm sorry if you're friends with him. He's gonna die. All right, well, good luck on whatever it is you're doing. And he steps onto the lift, presses the button.
Tajir holds it. Wait. Unless he's already gone.
It reaches out, stops the closing doors. Yes.
She shows him the ring that we got. Would it offend you for us to use these then?
Coin.
Eric
Sorry.
gave them some coins.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I wrote it down as a ring. Is it a coin?
It's like
We
an
had
amulet that
rings.
has a coin on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were bracelets.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
I wrote
We
it
were
down
all
wrong. then.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
yes. As a matter of fact, luck is everyone's own possession. So to have stolen luck is actually sort of a great grievance to the gods of luck. My sister would usually find individuals that have stolen luck and take them and return it to the rightful places and then execute them so they can no longer commit crimes. Granted, that was a different time where things were a little bit more harsh. There was a war going on and what have you. You understand. Given I've been away for such a long time, I'm going to let this one slide for now, given you help free me and all. But in my eyes, not a very good practice. Who would ever do deals for luck? That seems like a terrible thing.
I like you much better than the Tyrek we know.
Good. Hopefully we can be friends after I kill him.
So it will offend you if we try to use these.
I'll know you use them. I won't like that you did, but you have them. If they're going to save your life, well, I think it would be dumb of you not to use it. It's not like the person that they were taken from is going to get it back if you use it. So, you can either give them to me, and I can restore them to the people that they've been taken from, if they're alive. Or you can keep them, in which case I might secretly hold a grudge against you for the rest of my, immortal life. But that's between you and me.
May I return it later?
Whatever you need to do.
She'll nod and keep it for now.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any questions before I try to make my exit? Again, seriously. Ancient god. I have an imposter wearing my face. A lot of things to be doing.
Small goblin just waving.
Looking at the card that was thrown, does it look like the other card that we have seen?
Does. This one, since you've asked specifically.
Just before he goes, you know.
Oh yeah, so it has a purple and gold back, which you've seen before, and on the front face of it, there is an individual hooded. You can see just the outline of a jaw, shadowed by this hood that is up, a staff that they're leaning heavily against, and an open spell book that has this extremely detailed, almost circle of magic in it that seems to glimmer when the light hits. And then penciled, well, I guess not penciled, but done in beautiful calligraphy at the bottom, it says the Apostle. So nothing else.
No
Good luck.
a way that we could get in touch with you if we have questions down the road.
Are any of you capable of magic? I receive
Yes.
psychic utterances like every other god. If you're not good with magic, prayer still typically works, but again, I'm freshly out of the funk. It might take me a little while to reconnect. But if you try hard enough and really actually believe it enough, I'll probably hear it eventually. Otherwise, I don't know where my doppelganger is currently hiding, so I'm probably going to be heavily involved in wherever that bastard is currently holed up. So,
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise, you're more likely to find me spending time in a place where there's a lot of, good and bad luck. So probably a place where there's a lot of gambling. A large, centralized place of gambling. I don't know what the word look. Do you have any suggestions for me before I, get on out of here? Places like that, suggestions? I'm sure
Yeah,
the place looks very different since the last time I, had my wits about me.
insert name of fun casino in Galiath here.
Okay. Hell yeah. Already getting a lot of things from there. All right. Well, thanks for the suggestion. All right. All of you, good luck. Hopefully I see you on better terms next time. And he leans back in and the doors just sort of close.
Lithium's just gonna sit down. Just gonna go
I'm
sit by the
confused.
wall and sit down.
What just happened?
I was gonna look at the handmaiden. How's the handmaiden doing?
She's begun pacing. The moment the door is closed, she started pacing. But it isn't like furiously, it's very slow and deliberate. Like she's heavily involved.
He probably had over 6 cards. How many cards? Like,
Make a perception check for the
I'm both
past.
saying this and thinking about it. That's a 20.
Just based off of the fam that he did, he has about 10.
He had at least 10 cards.
Yeah, 10 give or take like 1 or 2. Somewhere in that range.
He, oh my goodness, I'm baffled.
Be a bit of a problem. Bit of a no-no for gods to be collecting cards. That's why we were sent.
We had a chance to get 10 of them.
How much do we believe him? How much do you believe him? And she's asking specifically. Martel.
But he's powerful. And he looks the part.
Could you have mistaken the existing Tirik?
So, there have been multiple gods throughout history, Tajira, that have switched and changed. Why not have one that keeps the same name, someone else just takes their place?
There's certainly room for doubt, given the amount of cards he has. Could easily be using borrowed power of other gods, hoping to usurp our Tyrek. That was what we were told they could do, if you use them, to grant you godly power.
I do not know how useful it is to figure out who is what in the gods. I merely think we stay out of their way as much as possible. That is my own philosophy.
There may come a time when I have no choice but to interfere.
I agree with Martel. We play in the gods' hands. We don't have a choice sometimes.
This is our fault anyways.
Perhaps if we have the power to make such decisions in the future, perhaps. As it is now, we do not have the power against them, I do not think. In any case, that is not here nor there at the moment.
To be honest, if I knew we were giving back the old man memories, probably would have stopped you, Lithian. This is trouble we did not need. Card or no card.
Like any of us knew what would happen.
Well, we made a deal with Morgana. We should let her know the old man has left. Ahead of schedule, too. Unless the rest of you think that that's a bad idea.
No, I'd agree.
And Maiden, you okay?
She stops. And then she just looks up. Anyone who's interested, you're more than welcome to make an insight check.
Oh yeah.
Insight check.
Ooh,
13.
natural 20 for a
13 for me too.
You are
She, can,
paying attention.
she is reading people.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
I
don't
got
know
17 this time. Yay.
She is experiencing trauma, so she sees other people's trauma.
Well, even in the handmaiden state, where her normal demeanor is very difficult to read, it's still tough to crack for everyone except Liffy. She is not saying it or expressing it, but you can see it, a tension in her eyes that she is holding in place, that if you think were to snap, she'd probably break down. You can only see it because you know exactly what it feels like. And in Martel's utterance, she turns with a poised and perfectly positioned visage nods. I'm fine. We should return to Morgana. Our job here is finished.
Guess we get in the elevator unless somebody's doing something.
There. Call the lift. You wait like 2 or 3 minutes for it to get there. You get there, you climb inside.
Maybe Morgana will have
Yep.
snacks for us.
And the handmaiden silently operates the lift to go back to the 100th floor. And you return to the warm, glowing room to which Morgana is currently still leaning heavily on one of the arranged benches, currently eating from a bowl of nearby fruit and reading over an unfurled scroll. She is alone, besides her familiar that is perched up behind her, diligently writing and scribbling away on another piece of parchment.
If the handmaiden hangs back from this, Lithian will stay with her.
I'm assuming Martell is going to move up into the room, yeah?
I lay Ebris down.
Hello, Morgana. Morgana.
The handmaiden, as normal, politely follows Martell. Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm glad to see you all in one piece, and not lost somewhere in the city for eternity. Have a seat. Can I get you something to drink, eat?
Whiskey?
Snacks would be good.
Let me see if we can have something arranged. And she looks to her familiar, who quickly slithers off into a side room. In the meantime, have a seat. I expected you, well, not back for some time. Do you come bearing good news?
I
Yes.
think it is good.
Well, it's good news for you. We have freed the old man. Probably will not be a bother to you.
Well, that is good news. Why do you all seem so trepidatious about
Buzz claims to be Tyrek.
Last I checked, there was still a Tyrek here.
That's why we're trepidatious.
Hmm.
He had a great deal of cards. I fear we may have freed a usurper.
Well, that is troublesome. Granted, I did know Tyrek back during the Great War. I haven't actually caught up with him since I've been released, other than our casual run-in below the city. Usurper? How interesting. How many more things could be locked away in this city, I wonder? But that's neither here nor there. I suppose I owe you some form of compensation now, don't I?
Oh, as I believe we discussed, we were doing a favor for a friend.
Well, yes, but you did it so quickly. I feel like you all deserve something. And to be quite honest with you, I have a whole clutch of young dragonlings, and they've been sneaking around throughout the city and pulling up anything that's shiny and piling it up for me, so I have plenty of things that you might find useful. Again, if nothing else, wealth. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me now, but if you're in need of gold, I have plenty of it.
Never one to say no.
I would be interested in some of the magic items if you have any we could look at.
Oh, I don't know exactly what we have, but I can show you something. Now, the trove isn't exactly as grand as it was the last time I ran into Martel. But it's still something. I will, she gets up and stretches, cracking several bones in the process. Oh, alright, well, follow me. I will, take you to the appropriate floor. This is kind of right as a familiar slithers back up. And it's very interesting. He does this on two legs, as he's got the other two propping up a small tray with a bunch of tin cups and several unlabeled glass bottles. To which you then watch as he begins using his tail to unstop her and pour drinks as you guys are walking. But eventually you'll go back to the lift mid-process, the familiar handing out drinks, everybody. For Lithian specifically, you get a 10 cup of whiskey, and it's not small. Everyone else, it's a relatively sweet red wine.
She downs
water.
it fairly quickly.
Okay. Small dragon will do his best to try to keep your glass topped off until the bottle empties. Which is the bottle that he had. Again, they're unlabeled. It's a green glass bottle. It's about 16 ounces. So if you're drinking pretty heavily, you're gonna burn through it real fast.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. For obvious reasons, I don't just have a casual treasure trove map. It seemed unnecessary. But once you're in the lift with Morgana, she will take you down 3 floors. And when it opens up, you see just one of these city floors completely wide open. There are no walls except for occasional beams that jet up from the floor to ceiling. And then you sort of walk around where the lift was, and you can see there's just a sort of wide open shaft where these elevators function out of, because there is more than one. You just have to be on different parts of various floors to access them. But when you turn that corner and see the wide open expanse, again, just several hundred feet that just vanishes off in the darkness, there's a large pile of gold and silver and platinum and copper. Just literally everything that could possibly be scrounged from anybody that's been here in the last several thousand years, thrown into a huge pile. No, I can't promise the quality of anything that's in here. Things that are of significant use, some of my minions have already sort of parsed through and taken for the cause, if you will. But anything you can find in here, within reason, is yours to take. At this point, anyone that's interested in trying to find stuff, you're rolling dice.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. What am I rolling?
D100s.
D100s?
You're great at these.
I'm the best at these.
Come on, one. I mean,
That's
rude.
Item
You
lists,
both
it's
know.
not that big of a deal.
yeah, it's not as punchy.
75.
They're way less interesting.
75. 75. 75.
75. Hasvard, you begin working through the pile, sort of sifting through the various different mintings of coins you find here. And the first thing that you find that catches your eye, and you find it because as you're sort of sifting through these coins, little wisps of smoke begin finding their way free from this pile of wealth you're digging. And you find a perfectly spherical glass bottle, and in it seems to be this swirling, twisting smoke. And it just is constantly leaking out of the top that is stoppered.
Interesting. Kind of makes me nervous, but interesting. Kind of like march over to where I'm guessing Lithian is hanging out with the handmaiden near Martel.
I don't know. Is the handmaiden near Martel?
Yeah, she's hovering behind you about 10 feet away, as is normal.
Could you identify this?
She will silently take it, and then sit down, pressing her heels underneath her. And she will begin casting the Identify spell ritualistically. So come back in 10 minutes.
Thank you. Go back to the pile.
Vegeta got 28.
28? The first thing you find, Tadira, again, sorting through just this large amount of wealth and, small golden statues and various other, cut gems, is a... looks like a potion bottle. The thing that is most interesting, however, is that inside the small vial, and it's this mildly viscous, semi-opaque yellow liquid, and you can very clearly see floating in it is a small eye, like the eye of a bird.
No. She'll do the little taste thing. Like, dip a finger and then taste it like you do with another potion.
You're so brave.
So the thing that's really interesting, first of all, is when you unstopper it, the eyeball vanishes.
Oh, that's not a good sign. She stoppers it back again.
Okay.
Does it come back?
It does.
She seems very curious. She'll go over to and see the handmaiden's probably busy, and she'll wait for her to finish.
Okay. So we'll get back to you in 10 minutes, I guess. Who next is diving into the Scrooge McDuck gold pile? No takers, really.
Like, I said I'd go back, but I was going to let everyone else go.
Yeah. I was going to let you too as well, but if no one else is going to volunteer.
Martel was doing a favor for a friend.
Okay. I like your commitment.
Could not possibly care less.
All right, Asward. Roll another D100, please.
A 64. I'm getting all my high ones out of the way so that when we roll for going to sleep, I can kill us all.
Kill you.
I'll consider it.
64. You find, and it would have been easy for someone to miss, a beautiful, gleaming silver chain shirt.
That's medium armor, isn't it?
Yes.
Ooh, I pick that up and I hold it close and I tuck it away.
Just so we're both clear on this, rogues can't wear them.
Oh,
I didn't think you guys were proficient in media.
The swashbuckler maybe gets that, but I'm pretty sure it's light armor only for rogues.
But let me quickly crack open my...
you're probably right.
Proficiencies, light armor. That's that. And your subclass doesn't give it to you, as far as I recall, either.
It does not. Okay, never mind.
I mean, you're more than welcome to keep it. It's still exquisitely crafted. Like, if nothing else, if you don't see the value in wearing it, you see the value in selling it.
Okay, we'll take that over with us as well, and then I'll be done, because I don't want to be greedy.
Meanwhile, you guys have a queue forming up in front of the handmaiden.
Yeah, I mean, despite... Well, my theory is always insight checks tell you the truth of the matter. Your assumptions are your assumptions. Martell still thinks the handmaiden's probably pretty stressed, seeing as she's never seen her pace. Martell just kind of looks at them and says, I am not as reliable as she is, but I can also try and identify.
Jiro will hand the potion to you.
Wait, can you use an investigation to do that?
No. You can use an investigation check to figure out if something is magical. And even then, that's still usually challenging to do. To identify how something actually magically functions, you either have to spend an hour with it, if it is something attunement-based, in which case you can learn its properties, because it will more or less tell you its properties. Things like potions and stuff, you either have to taste a sample, or reliably identify a spell.
Yeah, okay.
Tajiro is handing you the potion. Martell, yeah, you can parse through your memory, if you will, and figure out that this is a potion of clairvoyance. When imbibed, it allows you to cast the clairvoyance spell.
Ooh. Zira thanks you and puts it away.
Yeah, it takes Martell the same amount of time as the handmaiden's ritual, so...
It does. So when the handmaiden finishes, and produces the bottle and gives it back to Hasvar, she hands it back to you, and promptly says, "This is what they would call an ever-smoking bottle. It can more or less be used to create a smoke screen. But if you do not recover it, it stays where it is."
Neat. Thank you.
Zira's done. She's not going to go back for more.
Thank you for letting us peruse your hoard. It was wonderful.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you for your gifts. Shabao.
Yeah, Morgana seems very, nonchalant about it. She's literally just kind of, hip popped out to one side, just kind of leaning, just kind of, in a half yawn. You're like, yeah, no, it's fine. None of this has any usefulness to me anyway. So. It's gonna be smelted down for resources later anyhow, so I might as well give it to somebody who uses it. Honestly, you're the first group I've seen in a long time that, when presented with a large pile of treasure and have been told to just take what you want, just are very sparing about it. It's kind of refreshing.
We don't want to rob you.
I do not believe any of our goals are to be rich.
Well, speak for yourself, but again, there's something called morality and...
Well, if it makes you feel any better, All of this was accumulated from the various individuals that have died within the city. So really, you're grave robbing. Not really robbing me, if you want to be particular. Dragons don't care about gold for wealth purposes. If anything, I'm probably going to end up feeding it to them when they're older enough to actually digest it.
Puts a note in his bag. Dragons eat gold.
I have a rudimentary understanding of why the dragons hoard particular elements, or metals, I should say. But I don't know anything about the red dragons. Do they also eat these metals, or I don't know, is it rubies? Martel just kind of cocks her head to the side.
Well, you saved me the long-winded explanation. The answer is yes. The short version of it all is, the dragons, when they were first created by the primordial gods, eons ago, they pulled raw materials out of the planet, and from them made the dragons. They took from the most abundant resources they had available to them. Well, the colors come from respective minerals that they were then based from. So in order to sustain and build and birth new dragons, it requires large amounts of rubies for red ones. And then sapphire for blue, emeralds for green, onyx for black, diamonds for white. The protectorates are much of the same vein, but with metals. It's the whole reason why there's now a bit of a misconception about dragons and hoarding wealth because they're of greed. They do it as a means to heal themselves and to prevent others from doing the same. It's just war tactics, nothing more. That being said, dragons can technically eat anything. They have a core in the center of them that burns up everything that they swallow and converts it back into original life essence. Whatever you call it in this era. Mana, ether, whatever it is.
Oh, Martel just kind of... Oh, that's kind of like something I heard other people do. She just kind of stops and like kind of looks around shiftily.
Yes.
Boy, that was a bad roll on her composure over that. Very excited. She's like, oh wow, that's really similar to
Right. Really similar to everyday normal people. Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
And Tajira, she's terrible at insight.
Insight check, Martel. This is the time to do it. That was a bad roll.
It was bad, apparently.
Yeah, well, not as bad as mine. It was 12.
No, it was not as bad as
yours. Can Martel even roll a 12?
No.
Yep.
See? Yeah, see.
Well, if you don't need anything else from me, and my problem is gone, and you have what you've come for, I presume? You probably don't want to be here much longer. Even I don't want to be here for much longer.
Oh. And we do actually have a quick way to get away. If we want to.
Convenient.
Yes, well, we'll probably head back to town. We'll see. Oh, yes, that reminds me.
Yes.
I will take a little bit. I offered our guide who brought us here a little something extra if we should survive. Martel just kind of go over to the horde and look for another pretty thing. She already grabbed one, but she's grabbing another.
Right.
Yeah, something she thinks Snow would like.
All right. Just make an investigation check.
Let's do it. Not amazing. 12.
Well, yeah, not great, but it's not hard to find something of considerable value rather. You find, and the reason why you end up stopping here is because, well, it just seems sort of appropriate. It is, you think it probably belongs to a larger statue that it broke off from. It's actually a gold and platinum inlaid cat's claw.
Okay. Black. Cool. Yeah, Martell just grabbed that and she's like, thank you. This is is it for a guide? Lithian, I know your brother requested that we bring back anything strange or interesting that he might enjoy. I do not know his tastes. Would you want to try and find anything here, or shall we save that for our next destination?
I mean, I'm not magically inclined. I don't know what to look for either.
You need help?
Sure. Gladly.
Oh, what kind of person is your brother?
He's a gigantic nerd.
So bookish.
The bookish kind, yes.
All right.
He did say he was interested in anything that might be uniquely magical. Something that's, not a very common thing to see. Not necessarily powerful, just different.
So likely something primordial, not something that was left behind from a dead explorer.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that would fit the number. Martel just looks at Lithian.
That would be more. Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. I think I have something in mind. And she actually wanders away from the pile of wealth, back towards the side of the lift, and then past it in the other direction, where there are a couple of lock boxes. And she stops. She whistles her familiar over. Which one was the primal fire elemental soul locked in? And he slithers over to one of them. Thank you. She reaches down and speaks a word under her breath, and you see the lock unlatch, and she opens the box. And inside, there are 6 brightly glowing orbs that look like miniaturized suns. And she picks one up barehanded, and then just kind of nonchalantly closes the chest, places the lock back on, and then walks back over holding it in her hand. So, those hordes you see roaming around on the plains outside are a fraction of the power the elementals were during the Great Creation War. This is a fragment of one of the original fire elementals that fought during that time. It is powerful enough to level a whole floor of this city. If any of you can handle it, you're more than welcome to take it back. Do you have a convenient means of carrying this around without it quite literally burning a hole through someone's pocket? And thigh and bones?
Will it work in a bag of holding okay?
I wouldn't see why not.
Then yes.
Well, and then she sort of turns it over, waits for the bag, and then just sort of plops it in. And then you can tell she sort of waits to see if something happens.
Does something happen?
Well, about a minute passes by, and no, nothing.
I'm gonna try and pull out just a random dress
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah, you think about it, and you pull it out, and it's in mint condition.
Oof.
Okay.
I mean, if
Burns
nothing
up
else, the fire core will maybe be balanced out by the ice, core we've got, and
Yep.
they can duke it out in there.
Yep. The Ever Ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are just creating a whole other plane of existence inside of your bag of holding now.
Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
The plane of steam.
Well, I apologize. You seem tired. I did not consider the time. I kind of thought you didn't sleep. We should get out of your hair. Thank you so much.
Yeah. For the record, you're right, I don't sleep. But all the same, trying to raise an empire is busy work.
Of course.
Well, do you need me to see you out? I don't exactly know how you're vacating this area.
We found a way in. And she'll just tell her how they got in. If you're aware of the entrance, then it's fine. I'm sure we can go back the way we came. It seemed safe enough.
Oh yeah, no, that's our entrance in and out of the city. Just be wary of the patrols and make sure you alert them to your presence, or else they'll burn you alive.
Oh yes, thank you. We will let them know as we head out.
That would be wise. All right, well, it was lovely seeing you again. Well, you know where I'll be probably for the next year or so until I have a couple more mature dragons, in which case I'll be swinging by Runan at some point and trying to deal with that pesky plague. Otherwise, feel free to stop by. Just, make sure the guards know so they don't kill you, and you're free to visit whenever you want.
As I said, get in touch with the rebellion in Albion. They are good people. I think that they're probably our best bet.
All right, I will. I will probably take a flight down there sometime in the next couple of months.
Yes, I will. Well, if I can, send them a letter to let them know you're coming.
That would be much
They
appreciated.
don't think you're going to burn them alive.
I mean, if they're plague infested, I will.
Oh, yes. No, I understand that part.
But if they're not, then
Unfortunately,
yes,
plagues.
absolutely, I'll go there and meet them on good terms. Unless one of them is a historian or a scholar, they won't really see the threat in me unless I arrive as a partial dragon. Which
Valid.
I'm deciding if I want to do that or not. Show display of power. Anyway, I won't keep you any longer.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you. Bye.
Goodbye.
I trust you also know that the Gold Protectorate Dragon in Albion, just be cautious.
Yes. Oh,
I
yes.
think that he is busy, but...
I'm trying to be very delicate about removing the plague, which is just not the answer. That's the reason why it's been going on for so long. But yes, I'm aware. I will be careful. I appreciate the warning.
I thought you would know, but as I said, I want you to be able to put your best foot forward.
It is appreciated. Alright, well, I'm gonna go back to planning and all that fun things. Alright, well, do you need the lift? Are you going down? I can wait for the next one.
Oh, yes, I believe we have to go down. I think it was 2 floors. 2 or 3 floors, wherever that entrance was.
Really far down.
Oh, was it?
Bottom. Yeah.
You guys are on floor 97 currently. You guys came in on one of the nearer bottom floors, like floor 5.
Sorry, I keep seeing this backwards in my head. I keep seeing her as at the bottom level, and then we went up levels. She's at the top-ish level, and we went... Anyways. Anyways.
Inside the
I was
elevator.
confused. We're going down.
Off to see the hammer, the lovely hammer of Amaron.
Kind of worked.
Because we are going to visit them before we head off, right?
They won't be done with our things.
That's valid. But we're going past them, or are we just stepping outside and then using your new ring?
Why do we need to step outside? We could do it right here.
I don't trust the city's magical interference, but yeah, that's valid.
You should trust it directly outside of it, though?
No.
You guys are saying this as you're getting on the lift. The
No,
interior.
we're saying this on the lift.
Oh, okay. Then I'm not going to intervene. Figure out that cluster for yourselves.
We're able to use the handmaiden's spell before. I do not think there would be a problem.
All right, well, let's at least get off the lift first, if that's okay, just for my benefit of my mind.
Yes. I did not think we would want to camp in the lift.
The city seems well insulated from the wild magic outside. I think it will be fine if we stay within the city's limits and use magic.
Okay.
Get to the bottommost floor that you arrived on. Opening it back up into the derelict workshop that you originally stumbled into and played hide and seek with the wormlings. What is the plan? Are you going to summon the oasis and camp for the night? Are you going to take the ring and just go somewhere else?
Well, we slept not even like 7 hours ago. 8 hours ago?
Yeah, it's been a little bit more. A lot of time has passed. A couple more hours have passed. It's now, I can tell you exactly how much time. 4 hours have passed since the last one.
Okay, so we've been awake for like 10 hours. I guess technically we could sleep if we wanted to. Do people want to rest?
Use the ring first, because I can use it once a day.
Yes. And then we can sleep in like an inn or something. Actually, I like your garden better.
Please.
Oh, okay.
Are we going back to the city then?
Yes. Because we're gonna go meet up with Snow and hire her out for another expedition, I believe. Right, Martel?
Oh, yes. Well, we still need the other half of Lithian's weapon.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're gonna go back. We'll have a nice inn day where we can all have a few drinks, warm ourselves by a fire, take a little bit of time, and then we get to go on a weapon hunt.
I will use the ring trying to send us right onto the same summoning circle we showed up on.
Okay.
How long has it been since we left the Hammer of Amaron? I thought it's been a few days.
That is a great question. Let me wind back a little on my head. I think it's
like a day and
2
a
to
half.
3 days.
It's been about a day and a half.
Okay.
All right, then they're probably not done yet.
No.
Said a week.
Yeah, they say conservative. They think they told you conservatively like 10 days was the better expectation.
Yeah, fair enough. Then yeah, we can go wherever.
Okay. Well, Lithian, you have the ring. You speak its command phrase. You throw it onto the floor, and you watch as the ring expands open wide and creates a shimmering portal that snaps to life. And you see on the other side the dimly illuminated room of the teleportation circle where you arrived in the city to the south, where you first arrived on the continent of Europe.
Cowabunga dudes does a backflip into it.
Something.
Yes, really.
Yeah, Martel will go through.
Yep. Go through as well.
Okay. You all step through the gate. The portal dimly pulsing on the other side. But then you can reach back through and grab the ring, and it snaps the portal shut behind you, and you stand in the room with on the far side an empty desk and a sign that just says "Out to lunch." There's no one there to welcome you, but welcome back to the city of Newless. Standing in that small, cramped room, prepare to go find Snow and plan for the next expedition back out into the wastes of Iridu.
Also sell our finds from the city, or some of them at least.
Also sell some of your goods. And that's where we'll pick up next week. Well, hope you all had fun. There's a lot of stuff going on this session. It was a heck of a session to come back to after a couple weeks hiatus. But I had fun, so I hope you did too.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, chat. Love you guys.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to everybody for watching. I greatly appreciate you spending your time here with us. Like I said, catch us next week. There's gonna be a lot more stuff to unpack. Don't you worry. Drama is coming. And otherwise, if you've got the time, again, Wednesdays, 7 a.m. Orphan Honor. Next Saturday will be Moonrise again. Remember, every other week, starting at 10 a.m. PST. And then here, Fridays. I hope to see you then. Until then, make good choices. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.